Sunrise illuminates the camp. Reth's face tightens as he surveys the dwindling food stores. A hunting party returns with empty shoulders, their faces grim with fatigue and failure. Kael takes a rabbit, its meager weight a stark reminder of the tribe's growing hunger. Reth approaches Kael, gesturing that a new, more efficient hunting method is needed. Kael nods slowly, his focused expression showing he understands the challenge ahead. Alone, Kael moves through the tall grass, his eyes searching for tracks and animal signs. He hides behind a rock, studying the movements and habits of a small herd of antelope. Using a bent branch and a thin vine, he practices crafting a simple, concealed snare. Reth watches from a distance, his arms crossed, observing Kael's meticulous practice. Together, they discover a natural pitfall hidden by leaves. An idea sparks in Reth's eyes. Kael lays branches across the pit, while Reth adds a layer of leaves to conceal it. Kael gathers the young hunters, slowly demonstrating how to tie a strong slipknot. The young hunter fumbles at first, but his face lights up as he masters the knot. Kael shows how to hide the finished snare on a small game trail, covering it with leaves. Reth directs another group as they widen the natural pitfall with stone and wood tools. They carefully camouflage the deepened pit, leaving only a narrow, baited entrance. A young hunter places an edible root at the bottom of the pit, his eyes full of hope. Another group learns to build smaller deadfall traps, using a stick to prop up a heavy rock. A hunter carefully sets the trigger stick, the rock now precariously balanced over the bait. Kael divides the hunters into teams, assigning them areas to set the various traps. The teams move out, carrying vines and stone tools, ready to deploy their new skills. A hunter ties a snare to a small tree, carefully hiding the loop in the tall grass. Another team finishes camouflaging a small pitfall near a water source with dry leaves. A hunter places bait under a deadfall trap, double-checking the sensitive trigger mechanism. Kael gestures, using the sun's path to explain the rotating schedule for checking the traps. Reth nods in agreement with the plan, his eyes filled with trust and approval.
Like this.
Back at camp,
Follow my
some
fingers.
hunters show impatience.
Harder than
Reth
it looks.
and Kael remain calm and patient. At dawn, Kael and Reth awaken and signal the hunters to prepare for the first check. Following the trail, a young hunter spots a rabbit caught in a snare and gives a silent cheer. Reth carefully frees the rabbit, while Kael gives the young hunter an encouraging pat. The hunter proudly watches Reth place their first catch into a leather
Snaps
pouch.
upwards with considerable force, pulling the noose high.
Kael gestures for another hunter to check a trap hidden in the dense bushes. The second hunter finds a small bird, his face breaking into a wide, joyful smile. Reth
We need to cover this
strokes
opening
his
perfectly.
chin, calculating the effectiveness of their new snare method. Kael signals for the group to follow him deeper into the woods toward a denser area. Reth and Kael lead the way, their eyes constantly scanning the path ahead. Kael stops, kneeling to reveal the cleverly camouflaged opening of a deep, natural pit. Reth probes the pit's depth with a stick, his face lighting up with an idea as he looks at Kael. Reth begins widening the pit's opening with a stone tool as Kael marks the area. The entire team works together, diligently digging and expanding the natural pitfall trap. One hunter clears loose earth,
Today we
while
hunt.
another reinforces the edges with large stones. Reth inspects the finished pit with satisfaction and signals for them to begin camouflage. Kael directs the team to cover the massive opening with large branches and dense foliage. The hunters carefully lay branches and leaves, creating a thin but stable false ground layer. Reth and Kael step back to assess their work, Kael lightly testing the cover's durability. Reth points to a cleared path leading to the pit, signaling where to place the bait. A hunter carefully lays a trail of fresh grass and roots favored by small antelope. The perfectly concealed trap is now nearly impossible to detect. Kael gives a firm nod. Kael teaches another group how to build a simple deadfall trap with a propped stone. A young hunter intently copies Kael's movements, testing the sensitivity of the trigger stick. Kael adjusts the young hunter's trap, making it more sensitive before giving an encouraging nod. The hunters spread out, each carefully setting a small deadfall trap in the dense brush. One hunter places a ripe berry as bait before backing away from the set trap. From a high vantage point, Reth points out strategic locations for Kael and his teams. Kael assigns a hunter to lead a team setting snares near a marsh, targeting water birds. A team moves swiftly through the forest, placing snares on small animal paths. Kael gestures toward the sun's path, explaining the rotating trap inspection schedule. Reth confirms the schedule with a nod, his patient gaze fixed on the setting sun. As the day ends, the tribe gathers by the fire, tired but filled with hope. Reth places a reassuring hand on Kael's shoulder as they watch the weary hunters rest. Night descends on the savannah,
This
the quiet
trap,
hum of nature
it
filled
has
with
failed us.
anticipation. Kael takes one last look towards the forest before returning to camp with resolve. Dawn breaks, casting a magical golden-orange light across the tall savanna grass. Kael awakens first, quietly slipping away from the sleeping members of the tribe. He gives sharp, quick gestures to the sleepy young hunters, who immediately grab their spears. Led by Kael, the group moves cautiously into the forest, their steps light and silent. Kael stops, carefully parting the leaves to reveal a small bird in a snare. As a joyful hunter approaches, Kael signals for him to be careful while freeing the bird. Kael inspects the ground near the trap, searching for any signs of larger predators. The group moves on, passing an undisturbed pitfall trap that lies perfectly concealed. Kael lightly touches the trap's cover, confirming its integrity before signaling to move on. In an area thick with vines, a hunter points out a small rabbit struggling in another snare. With a nod of approval from Kael, two hunters work together to gently free the animal. Kael carefully readjusts the snare's slip knot to maximize its future effectiveness. The hunters gather their small catches, exchanging looks of excitement and satisfaction. Kael inspects the morning's haul and gives a young hunter a look of praise before heading back. On their way back, they see Reth in the distance, who had been checking another area. Kael holds up the snared animals. Reth smiles, his expression showing relief and pride. Together, they approach the large pitfall trap, hearing faint noises from within. Reth carefully peels back the camouflage to reveal a small antelope trapped below. Kael signals to the other hunters, who quickly and quietly surround the pit. Directed by Reth, they lower a thick vine, trying to loop it around the animal's legs. The startled antelope panics, but the hunters wait with patience, their eyes focused. Kael casts the rope again, this time successfully snaring one of the antelope's horns. Kael and Reth grip the vine, slowly and steadily pulling the animal from the pit. After a struggle, the antelope is hauled out and quickly subdued by the hunters. Carrying their impressive haul, the hunters head for camp with energetic, purposeful strides. The rest of the tribe rushes out to greet the returning hunters with cheers. One woman raises her hands in a joyful cheer, her eyes filled with gratitude.
We
Reth
must
observes
continue.
the joyful scene, a profound sense of relief washing over him. The tribe gathers around the bounty, marveling at the success of the trapping strategy. Under Reth's supervision, a hunter expertly butchers the antelope with a sharp stone knife. A woman carefully skins a small rabbit, her movements precise and practiced. Other tribe members work in rhythm, gathering firewood in preparation for the feast. Another woman neatly sorts piles of gathered tubers and fruits for the meal. Kael watches the hunters process the smaller animals, nodding at their speed and skill. Reth calmly inspects a piece of meat, giving a nod of approval to the hunter. A woman brings a basket of berries to the butchering site for preparation. The aroma of roasting meat fills the air as the tribe gathers around the fire. Reth watches his tribe eat, his gaze shifting to the sky with relief and hope. Kael gestures to the food, then to his mouth, signaling to Reth that the traps worked. Reth responds with a rare small smile, his face showing satisfaction in the new method. A young hunter, chewing a large piece of meat, looks at his leaders with admiration. Reth revisits a snare with Kael and the young hunters to review its design. He points to the slipknot, shaking his head slightly, indicating it can be improved. Kael nods in agreement and demonstrates a better way to tie the knot for the others. A young hunter focuses intently, his brow furrowed as he practices the improved knot. At a pitfall trap, Reth uses a long stick to test the strength of the camouflage. Reth points out a small gap in the cover, signaling that it needs to be better concealed. Kael and the young hunters immediately get to work, meticulously covering the gap. Reth pats a young hunter's shoulder, satisfied with the now perfectly hidden trap. As they walk back to camp, Reth's gaze sweeps across the vast, distant savanna. Kael walks beside him, his eyes also fixed forward, ready for the next challenge. A woman carefully stores dried meat in a leather pouch, securing food for tomorrow. By the fire, a hunter sharpens his stone spearhead, sending small sparks into the air. Reth sits by the fire that evening, staring into the flames, thinking of the tribe's future. Kael sits opposite him, occasionally glancing at Reth, as if to share the burden. Two women exchange a look of silent understanding and mutual encouragement. Reth stands and walks to the edge of camp, looking up at the starry sky. The tribe sleeps peacefully, the flickering firelight their only watchmate in the quiet savannah night.